A shift in mindset can change everything in your mortgage business. Hey, I'm Scott Beckford, and this is the I Love Mortgage Brokering podcast. And today I have Kristen Young and we discuss the importance of mindset and how shifting from being basically just an agent to an owner mindset transformed Kristen's business, as well as the use of technology and client relationships. She even shares how her very first mortgage deal she did while in the hospital, pregnant. Kristen's an amazing mortgage broker doing some cool stuff, and I think you're going to find this conversation inspiring. Before we jump into that, I want to give a shout out to our title sponsor, Ownwell. Ownwell is a tool for Canadian mortgage brokers that allows brokers to monitor home equity and buying power on a monthly basis. These email reports go out to your customers, and they have a 60 to 80% open rate, and they create all sorts of conversations around getting about what I can do with my home equity. Should I refi? And this is something that's been available in the US for some time. And as a Canadian listener, you're going to want to check them out. Check out ownwell.ca/Scott and check out this conversation with Kristen. Hey, Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Scott. Excited to be here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got in the mortgage biz.
So I was a young mom and was going to start a piano teaching business and was sharing that with some friends. And one of my friends was a broker, and he said, "You need to look at becoming a mortgage broker." And it was through that connection and him kind of talking to me about what the business was all about that I actually got licensed and came into it.
And that was 16 years ago, right?
That was 16 years ago. Yep, I was pregnant with my daughter, did my first deal in the hospital, um, having her, and yeah, haven't looked back since.
Okay. So at what point did you know that this was actually the career for you? Was there a point where you're like, oh, I don't have to go back to, teaching piano or something else, and this is actually going to be my business?
Right, good question. So I would say probably within 2 years of getting licensed, I all of a sudden things kind of started clicking, and I had networked to my friends and family, and I had one realtor that was sending me her business, and I realized I could make real money here. I did have in 2014 things did slow down for me, and I did honestly consider leaving the business. And then in 2015, I got connected to a realtor who was doing primarily online leads and had invested heavily in that. And that's really where I saw dramatic increase in volume. And that's where I was hitting the 10 million a year and then up to 20 million by 2019.
Right. Okay. So that was the kind of the turning point for you. Do you still do a lot of business through the online lead stuff, or is it now mostly referral and relationship?
Yeah, I don't do anything in terms of someone sending me cold leads and farming those leads anymore. No. So if someone has an online lead, the expectation would be that the realtor's worked it enough that when they're sending it to me, it's a qualified lead.
Right. So I always like to ask about failure, and I've had lots of failures in my career as a mortgage broker, but looking or in business and looking back, there's always a lesson in it. Can you think of something that you failed at, but now looking back that you realize, oh, there's a lesson?
Yeah, lots of things. So I think I failed
Okay, give me
at,
the big juiciest one. I was kidding. The worst one, like it was
I think
the
the biggest
worst
failure,
failure ever. But
I mean,
the
learning, I would call it learning. It is what it
yeah,
is. And this is the most recent one I would say actually is the mindset of being a business owner versus just an agent. So when I had that switch, that changed, that really, that doubled my business almost.
okay. Give me an example of like what how did you think about what's a mindset of an agent look like versus an owner?
Right. So I think part of it was even just how I promoted myself. So I was always promoting myself as an individual, and I was kind of looking for transactions. So I was chasing that one client, that one realtor that might work with me. When I went to a business owner and promoted it that way, first of all, everybody started treating me like an owner. So they thought I had, upgraded in the world and were much more interested in working with me because of how I presented myself publicly. It looked like I had a lot more success. And then I stopped kind of chasing the individual transaction and went after, uh, the top level. So rather than trying to get one agent, I would go to either the broker or the team lead and try and get all the agents with
Right.
realtors.
Yeah, that's really good. What made the shift? What, like, was that a conscious thing you made, or did it happen gradually? And like, why? Like, what caused that? You
Right.
think?
Like honestly, it was going when I changed brokerages last July, and I went over to Bricks with you. And when I networked within Bricks, I realized that pretty much everyone there acted like an owner. And
Right.
so, and they were owners. And so then being in that environment, I realized, to keep up with these guys, I've got to make that switch. And so
Right.
that's really what happened. And so it was pretty instantaneous. And that's when I got partnered with one of the agents at Bricks, and we decided to co-brand together. And it really looks like we've got a very strong brokerage, model essentially within Bricks.
Right. And you guys have been kicking ass too, so that's amazing. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
agree with
it's
you. There's a
really
different
fun.
mindset between, employee versus owner, even in all areas. If you can upgrade, hey, this is mine. I gotta treat it like a business. And if I do, that means I'm not gonna go talk to one realtor to get one deal. I'm gonna go talk to the boss and try to get all of them. Right. That
Yeah,
just that's a shift. That shift in mindset will change the little actions you take, which then ultimately changes the outcome. Right.
absolutely. And that's where you start thinking a lot about scale. So
Right.
how and ROI, right?
Right.
How can I maximize my time on where I'm growing the business, and also how do I reduce what it takes me to underwrite a file to get a deal across the finish line?
Right. So I want to ask about process because process is a big important part of the business. And so can you think of a change in process that you've made recently or or what's the best change that you've made to your process
Yeah.
in
So
the last 6 to 12 months?
yeah, I mean, the hugest thing for me was investing in a CRM and going all in with it. And the really amazing thing about the CRM that I'm with is it connects to all of my public presence. So it's connected to my Facebook, my Instagram, and to my Google business page where I get a lot of business from. And then it's all connected to my website. So if someone contacts me on my website or through any of the social media platforms, they all end up in the CRM. And then the CRM has automated text and email, and
Okay,
the
what are you using?
texting has been insane. I'm using my Broker Pro.
Okay, yeah, that's a cool feature of that being able to because if you think about it, you've got your CRM is sort of like your client. It's like your one source of truth, if you will. But we've got all these
Yes.
channels that people find us, whether it's like you said, Facebook. It's these different, and then if they can all come into a single place, then
Yes.
it's working. You're finding that's working.
It's changed my business overnight because
Mm,
I don't lose clients anymore. Um, like if someone contacts me, the onboarding process is so quick to put them in the CRM, and then they're going to hear as they move through the client journey, they're going to receive automated emails and text messages from us along the way so that they're always moving forward. So even like
right,
I'll have a realtor call me and say, "Hey, what happened to so and so?" And I can look and say, "I reached out to them 10 times through
right,
text and email." I mean, it's
right.
powerful.
So that's fantastic. That's a change of process. So I want to ask about lead generation. So what's been working best for you to generate leads in this market?
So I would say probably half of my business right now is referral of either existing clients coming back in to do something with me or to refer me to friends and family. So I'm doing a lot of that. The other thing that we're doing is going back into our database, and a lot of people in my area of the country, in Alberta and Calgary, have a ton of equity. And
Hmm.
so we've been doing a lot of refinances, pulling out equity to purchase rental properties. So that's
Mm,
where I'll see, one client that I worked with a couple of years ago will now do a refi plus purchase two rentals. So I'm getting three deals in one.
right.
And the
Yeah,
ca- and the cash flow is amazing. So we're doing a lot of that.
where are
And
they
then
buying
again,
these rentals?
they're buying. So Calgary recently switched where you are allowed to have legal suites, like they changed all the zoning. And so it's become very cash flow positive for people to invest in Calgary and put a
Hmm.
legal suite in.
It's amazing how a policy change can create market opportunities if you're paying attention,
Well, and
right?
that's
Like,
yes, it's
yeah.
huge, and that's partnering with the right people, right?
Hmm.
So working with realtors who are very aware of that, and then we can go in tag team together. And the clients are so over the moon, and we're refinancing them. They're purchasing, and all of it's cash flowing
Right.
with the rental income. So it's amazing. So
Yeah.
that's been really big for my business in the last 12 months. And then the other piece is I'm very prominent on all of the Facebook pages in Calgary, and I'm referred all the time on them. And so when people go in to search for a mortgage broker, my name pops up a lot. And then they'll Google me and they'll see my Google business page, which is very positive, and I put a lot of effort into that as well. And then based off of that, I have such strong um, trust built that they will, I don't even really have to sell it.
Mhm. Right. And so how many Google reviews do you have?
97.
Right. Yeah. Once you got to a certain number, then it sort of, if I go to a town I don't know and I'm looking for a coffee shop, there's a certain number that you're like, okay, this it's it does lend credibility for sure. Um,
And
so
it's
and then
hard.
these Facebook pages, is just because people are tagging you? You're not, are you in those groups active, or is it just because of the reputation you built over time?
Both, both. So sometimes I'll get tagged, and then if I see the tag and it's in a timely manner, I'll just put like basically a business card in there. And if I have some good rates, I'll throw that in there, but it's not, it's not part of my routine to be doing that. It's more that once a day I'll check and see if I've been tagged, and then I'll go and put my info in. But I'm not really trying to get the client that's asking the question, like the person that's asking the question. The big thing I want is my name to pop up when somebody else does a search.
Mm. Yeah, and what happens is they don't even read; they just look in your name, seen there 4 or 5 times, and they're
Yes.
like, okay, I'm gonna call Kristen, right?
That's exactly right. And or yeah, and then the nice thing too is that usually they'll go to Google Business, they'll fill out the application, and now I'm at a point with how my CRM captures people so well that like I'll come in on Monday morning and over the weekend someone's found me, filled out an application and uploaded all of their documentation and it has never spoken to me.
Right. That's so good. And what about uh, and that just talks about the level of trust. If somebody's going to start filling out applications and documents and never even talking to you, it means that they're coming in high trust referrals, which is really good.
Yes. Hmm.
Um, I was going to ask you, okay, what do you do for your past clients? So, okay, so it sounds like you made a change to your process, which you got dialed in your CRM, which is working in terms of lead gen. You've got a great reputation that's helping drive business. You're doing a lot of refi to purchase rentals because the cash flow is working. That's fantastic. But what are you doing once the files close so that these people remember you and want to do
Right.
more business with you and remember to refer you?
Right, absolutely. So, in the past, it's just been a monthly newsletter, and that has usually just by doing that, and I always say an executed plan B is better than a never executed plan A. So I would just throw together a newsletter once a month and send it out, and I would get a deal per month from that just by sending it. But now with the CRM, we have a much more targeted approach, and people are hearing from us frequently. They're getting a yearly review opportunity if they want to book in with me. They're getting we're doing a deal of the month, similar to what real estate agents will do with the deal of the week. We're doing a deal of the month with a mortgage product that's been going really well, and then we're also doing a news and rate advisor every month as well. So
What
they're
do you mean
hearing from
by
us.
What do you mean by a deal of the month? Give me an example of what that is. That like when you put together a refi to purchase a rental and you show the cash flow? Is that what you mean, or is it something different?
So the whole point of the deal of the month is to get people to raise their hand. So we kind of keep it vague. And so last month we did basically a no payment mortgage. And so it is really, it's a reverse mortgage, but we didn't call it that. We just said, hey, a no payment mortgage, if you've got 50% equity, you might qualify for this. And then people based off of that started reaching out.
Right. And you can use Fraction or some of these other tools, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. You basically just want to get the conversation. Did you get any leads from that?
Yes. I didn't
Right.
get a fraction deal. I had people messaging me and being like, is this something I should be doing? But it just started the conversation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. So a deal of the month is you're basically framing a solution
Yes.
that a customer would care about in a way that starts a conversation, but doesn't actually. break it all the way down because then you don't get the conversation.
That's exactly it.
Okay, that's very clever. So, and then what was the other thing you said you're doing? You do the monthly newsletter. Anything
Yeah,
else?
exactly. And then what they're on, everybody in the CRM is on a drip campaign for the renewals. So they're hearing from us once a year on like a yearly mortgage review if they want to book that in. And then, as they get closer, they'll be getting automated emails coming through with regards to, hey, your renewal's this many days out, and book a call with Kristen, all that kind of stuff.
Right. Um, what do you think, like, what do you think's been the key to your success in the mortgage business? If somebody who knows you well and be like, the reason you're good at that you've had success with this, what do you think that is?
I think um, in the beginning, it was working really hard and giving an incredible product to people that they were very happy with, high level service, and building a relationship where there was a high level of trust. And then from there, leveraging that with partners, referral partners like realtors and financial planners. Um, and now it's a high level of business where people hear from me often and they want to work with me. And most of the time, people coming to me are asking if they can work with me, like if I have room for them.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome that
And
you've
so
built
now
that
I'm at a
together.
point where I have basically a test that everybody has to go through to work with me
Hmm.
because I don't want to waste my time. And
What kind
so
of
essentially,
test?
so everybody can get one phone call with me, but I have some clients that really want to talk it up and they're not willing to put in the work. So they get one phone call and then they have to fill out an application and upload their documents. And if they're not willing to do that, unless I don't believe that they can, like they're seniors or something like that. But if they're not willing to fill out an application, I have an email that I send and say to proceed further, I need you to do this.
Right.
And I won't take their call.
Hmm. Yeah, because some people just talk and talk and then never get to anything, and then you are spending a lot of time. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Especially B
So,
deals too. That's what I find is the B deal clients, because it's a little bit more tricky. They're just not willing to put the documents together, and I'm not going to waste my time.
right. Uh, what about, so I know we've talked in the past and you've done some stuff in the US and like how, like, or
Mhm.
you've got partners. Walk me through that. So what kind of success have you had and like where do these types of clients come from?
Right. So, in 2022, I had a realtor partner who was buying a property in the US and worked with this global mortgage group and said, you should take a look at working with them. And so I did get partner up with them. And I've probably funded maybe 30 mortgages in the US. And it's
Hmm.
all for out of the US people. So we call them foreign nationals, but it's anyone located outside the US, and it could be a US citizen or a non-US citizen, but they're located outside the US, and then we're able to provide financing for them in the US.
Right. And so this is Canadians typically buying or refinancing properties in the US, right?
Yeah, so I have worked with people all over the globe, but yes, I would say probably 70% of the people that I've worked with have been in Canada.
And then how do you find these clients? Because that's like a tip, that's not your typical, like how are they or how are they finding you?
So the brokerage I was partnered with did a lot of marketing, and so we would get the clients through that. And then I've also gotten clients, like honestly, brokers are my best referral source because they have clients that they know want to buy in the US, and so then I've had brokers, especially in Ontario, that will refer to me, and then I'm
Hmm.
also referred to on some Facebook pages too. Back to those
Right.
Facebook
Back to the
pages.
Facebook
I've
pages again. Right.
yeah, yeah, I've been referred. There's some Facebook pages where there's Canadians wanting to invest in the US, and so I'm on those as well where I'm referred.
Right.
Yeah, and the big thing is just having money for a down payment. As long as you've got the down payment and closing costs available, we can get you a mortgage.
Right. Because it's not based on, it's based on equity, pure equity lending, right?
Yeah, and usually it's a rental offset, so
Right.
it's
All right.
kind
Yeah.
of
rental income. It's a rental
yeah,
offset that
yeah,
determines
TCS, yeah.
what's the best business advice you've received?
Um, I mean, honestly, I would say that the people matter more than the problem or the situation. That was from my dad early on. And so I think just treating people, like making sure that every loop is closed well and treating people well has served me very, very well, very well.
Right. That's good. What's the best book you've read that you recommend every mortgage broker should read? Doesn't have to be a mortgage book, but what book would you say every mortgage broker should read?
Hmm. Well, I'm reading the Willie one right now. Trying to remember what it's called. It's so
Oh,
good.
24/7 mindset.
Yes, yes, like I'm loving that, and I would say everyone should read that. Like
Yeah,
that,
that's a good
just
book.
reading that at the beginning, like I'm halfway through it, and it's already changed things for me. It really
Mm,
helps to clarify things. I would 100%. I paid the $40 from Amazon. I know you can get it on PDF for free. I've got it on my nightstand. Read it.
right. Yeah. I
24/7
went
mindset. Yes.
I read it on digital. I like digital reading because then it's just, that I don't, the reason I think I like digital is because I don't need to wear reading glasses. I can just make the font
Yes.
bigger.
Yeah. I get it.
It's a
I get it
life hack.
completely. Yeah.
It's a life hack. Is there anything that that you think I should have asked you that you think our listeners will find helpful or useful?
Mm, I think the biggest thing for me is I've always erred on the side of doing something then, and again, it's that plan B, executed plan B is better than a never executed plan A. So like with my CRM, I turned on all the automations. Like I turned on everything and I got everything going. And a lot of people I talk to, they're like, I'm just building out my automations. I'm doing this. I'm not sure about that. And it's like they never actually pulled the trigger. I pulled the trigger. Yeah, we needed to change probably about 20% of it and adapt to it. But I'm so glad I turned it on. I think it's easier to pull things back than to
Hmm.
try and make something happen. And so, we had one of the automations is, right before closing it, an email would be sent out saying like, "Hey, do you have any questions?" But the wording of it kind of came like there might be something wrong, it wasn't worded
Yeah.
well. And they were sending it on Sunday morning. And I remember I came out of church on a Sunday morning and I had like a bunch of missed calls from clients being like, "What's up?" And so yeah, we had to change the setting and say we're not going to send messages on Saturdays or Sundays, and we adapted that email that was being sent out. But I would way rather do that than not have, the 80% of it that's phenomenal or even more.
Right. Yeah, often you're better off to make errors of action than inaction because errors of action you can correct and learn from, but errors of inaction you get nothing from it. You don't get any momentum or benefit or so. Yeah, I think that's good.
Yes. Well, and the same thing with my assistant. So I'm always pushing her to act and to take autonomy for things. And yeah, like sometimes she might mess up, but I would say probably 90% of the time she doesn't mess up. And she's learning from everyone that she goes through. And so
Hmm.
now I'm at a point with her where like she can do a whole deal from start to finish, even talking to the client. But
Hmm.
that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't given her the opportunity.
Right. And the thing is, you got to remember, you made mistakes when you started. So, you got to allow
Yes.
for people to make mistakes in their, provided you got the right person and they want to keep learning from it. I,
Yes.
recently I've been playing a lot with ChatGPT and I went in there and I said, I want you to answer all these questions with one word. And I asked which says, do you understand? Yes, I understand. And then you start saying, I said, what is the number one reason mortgage brokers fail? And that after all the data, it said inaction was the single word,
Yes.
inaction. And then
Yes.
it's like, what is the number one thing that most successful brokers do? They prospect, basically. And it's like, we can make this business really complicated, but the reality is it's
Yes.
not. We just have to take action and we got to do the things we know we need to do, but we oftentimes don't want to do.
Yeah, so that's, even with my CRM now, we have the ability to turn on AI,
Yeah.
and we're training the AI right now, and so we're going to turn it on very soon. But leveraging
Mm.
that, I'm going to be getting an avatar built for video. So always trying to move forward and stay ahead of the game for sure in terms of the technology that we can use to leverage uh, our time so that we have more time.
And learning. There's a learning
Yes.
that can happen from it too. That's so good. Yeah, I think it's amazing. I know you've got some pretty ambitious goals this year. You've had a great year last year, and it's exciting to see what you're going to do as you keep going. Where can people find you online if they're looking for you?
So you can just search up Kristen Young Merge Mortgage, and you'll find me at mergemortgage.ca. I've got Instagram, I've got LinkedIn, I've got Facebook. Yeah, I'd love to connect.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for chatting with me, Kristen. This has been tons of fun.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Hey, thanks again for listening, and hopefully you're inspired by my conversation with Kristen and just some of this cool stuff that she's doing. It's an amazing broker who I just love, love, love chatting with her. And it's always inspiring to see how a shift in mindset, although it doesn't look like anything changes, but everything can change in just a blink. And I absolutely love her enthusiasm and drive. And if you're reach out to her if you have any questions. She's a very open book in terms of if you want to talk to her about anything, and she's very experienced when it comes to doing mortgages as a Canadian in the US. Also, if you want to know more about what I'm up to, so we got a newsletter called the 321 newsletter every week we send out, and it's jam packed full of useful tidbits for you and your business. And I spent quite a bit of time on it, and it's got a fantastic feedback so far. Some motion to make it better. So you can just click on this link of this show if you want to get on that list. Also, follow me on social. I've got a link in my bio there that says how you can get on that list. It's something you don't want to do, as we send out stuff all the time that you guys are going to find useful. For instance, like an AI tool that you can use to summarize YouTube videos in seconds. So literally, it's amazing. So I'm always finding these things for brokers for you guys to use in your business. If that's something that sounds interesting, check that out. Thanks again for listening. As I always say, there's no problem in your mortgage business that someone else hasn't already solved. Your problem is who's got the answer. The goal of this podcast is to provide some of those answers. Thanks for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.